My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Good evening, and I think I might have lost Jody on Skype for some reason. I don't know why. It looks like I lost everybody, so it's just me. So,
oops.
Yay, there's Jody. Say hey, Jody.
Hi. Okay, we're all here? Okay.
I don't know, but you're here, so say hello.
Hello.
We're live.
Oh, we're live. Okay, well, welcome to the Red Whine. Somehow I got disconnected and she called me back while we were on the air. I was talking to Michael Johns, who is the former speechwriter for the White House, a Heritage Foundation policy analyst, and the co-founder and national leader of the Teaparty, and he was telling me he needed to reschedule.
Oh, okay. So it's just you.
So is just you and me. He just said, I'm so sorry, I just sent a text to let you guys know I can't make it tonight, and then I was disconnected. So, Michael, if you're out there, okay, well, reschedule.
Okay.
So,
yeah, we're all good.
Yeah. So, Man, so much to talk about tonight. So, good Lord. We have so many things that have happened since last Wednesday. We have the whole laptop stuff, and we have this whole disinformation thing, which started out the left talking about how anything you hear coming out of about the laptop, quote unquote laptop, is Russia disinformation.
But it's not.
Right. And they finally there were different people from the White House coming out right away saying that wasn't true. But it finally took CBS, Major Garrett, finally saying the FBI, the DOJ, and the DNI are all saying there is no Russian collusion, there's no Russian disinformation, there's no Russian anything with this laptop.
Yeah, and I mean, pretty much anybody who had a clue, about the details and the facts, or, really kind of knew anything about technology. And we've talked about this on Cyber Wars a couple of times, and Ordy and I talked about it on here last week. There were plenty of breadcrumbs just in the PDFs to make you feel like it was real.
Yeah.
So the really kind of flabbergasting thing about it was that the metadata in the PDF, right? So kind of the code behind the PDF. I think it was Politico or the Daily Beast, or maybe both of them, deconstructed that. And when you deconstruct that, it gives you a sense that they're real, right? And definitely that they're not from Russia hacking Burisma.
Right.
But they ran with the story anyway. And basically, their whole underlying premise was, it's from Rudy Giuliani, so you can't believe it.
Right.
Which is pure insanity to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I truly think that they have, I just truly think that they knew this was coming, and their major play on anything is, let's just tell everybody it's from Russia, because that seems to work, especially with their base.
So there are some people in the, not really in technology, but in the foreign policy and cybersecurity policy world that believe that the Burisma hack was purely fabricated to begin with. So yes, they knew it was coming. Some people believe that they lied about that hack, and that hack never happened because they knew it was coming.
Right.
They didn't expect it to take this long, but they thought it was coming.
Well, truly, how long? I'm not sure if Hunter Biden recalled he left a laptop, but if it sounds like what day was the impeachment vote? Was like 12/19 or something like that. They were saying that like a day after they sent this to the grand jury. Is that right? The subpoena, or they got when was the subpoena? Was it in September? Was it in December?
It was in December. They initially picked it. They initially came and got a forensic image of it. Took it back, examined it, got a grand jury subpoena, and then picked it up in December.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And they said there's like a day difference between the House deciding to impeach and then this going forward. Like, it's almost like the House Pelosi knew that this was going on. I don't know. Well, I'm sure she did. I'm sure she has contacts in the FBI.
I'm absolutely certain that somebody in the FBI tipped them off.
Oh, sure.
That's the way it goes.
Totally.
Ruby's
talking. Totally.
Yeah, so, I think that's how they got wind of it, too. I mean, because if you look at, I think, there's plenty of kind of Comey, Brennan faithfuls still in the FBI.
Right.
I'm sure.
Right. Oh, totally.
Right. Yeah,
totally.
So I think you're right about that.
Yeah, so Very interesting. And so nobody's denying it's Hunter's, not even his own lawyer, who they have an email from, they have a phone call from. He's basically admitting that's my client's computer.
Yeah, no,
So,
it was just a total diversion to Russian disinformation, which, even adolescents know that if you use the same excuse too often, sooner or later people aren't going to believe it. But these guys don't seem to know that.
right. And what is... It ran with the Atlantic story about the bogus, the vets being losers, supposedly Trump said, which he didn't say.
Right.
The same, mainstream media that were fine with the New York Times going with leaked and selective tax records of the president, plus all of the unnamed sources in multiple stories the last 4 years.
Yeah,
totally fine with that. But this, oh no, they don't have enough sources. They want more facts.
I think the tax records were probably the closest analogy to this story, because the mainstream media has never tamped that down or questioned that at all. And social media has not tamped it down or questioned it at all. That got no censorship, or those links are never blocked. It's the New York Times, right?
Right.
But they were clearly illegally gotten, right? Because even if the person even if it was illegal for the person who had them to have them, it wasn't legal for them to hand them over.
Right. They didn't tell the full story either.
The New York Post Twitter account has been blocked or restricted, whatever they call it, for 7 days. 7 days.
Yeah, that's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
And so are they going? I thought they were supposed to go today, but I didn't see it. When are they going in front of Congress, Jack? Twitter and Facebook. When are they going?
I thought it was tomorrow. There was a story, anonymous sources, that they weren't going to subpoena them or vote to subpoena them because some Republicans weren't going to vote yes, and they didn't have all the votes. From the interviews that I've seen with Hawley and Cruz, they haven't said anything about that. So I don't, I don't know if they're moving forward, if there's testimony tomorrow or not. I certainly haven't heard any of them say that it's canceled.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking it was today. And keep in mind, for those of you that are not on Twitter, there was a story that ran last week, and we were like, what is this ridiculous rumor about the SEAL Team 6 thing? And we said, okay, this can be on. They're running this rumor. The president even retweeted it.
Right.
That they didn't take down.
Right.
So that's why it doesn't make any sense. What they say, their content, what they're checking for, makes no sense.
Yeah, they said hacked material, but there was absolutely no evidence that it was from a hack at all. The evidence would, there wasn't any evidence either way, but nobody ever claimed that it was hacked, right? So the owner of the account has to at least claim that it's hacked for Twitter to determine that it's hacked material.
I'm sorry, I've got a cough.
That's okay.
And I'm sure I do not have COVID, but you never know. So
it was just total bullshit. They just wanted to hide that story. That's, however many people it takes at Twitter, there were that many people that did not want that story read. That's
right,
all.
And it come to find out the person that's in charge of the fact checking and all of the stories at Facebook is a former Biden person.
Yeah,
That was a Breitbart story this week.
Yeah, Tucker had another story on last night that 6 of 12 of Trust and Safety are Chinese nationals.
Which is, come on, guys, this is ridiculous.
Definitely don't need to be telling us what disinformation is when half of your Trust and Safety group is Chinese nationals, and nobody disseminates more disinformation than China.
Well, we've gone down the rabbit hole. This is just ridiculous. Like, if you would have said 4 years ago we would be here with the nonsense of the media, I honestly don't know that people would have believed you.
I wouldn't have believed it.
No, because I guess I always felt like, okay, we have our ideological differences when it comes to what the right believes, what the left believes, but we all still want, a semblance of truth or a semblance of...
I used to think we did.
Yes, I agree. I used to think we did. Now, I think it's what Hillary Clinton said before 2016 is that the ends justify the means. So the end, if Trump if we can get Trump out of there, we don't care how we lie, cheat, steal, whatever. If we got to put out disinformation or we got to put up with a pedophile or whatever, we'll do it. Because, by God, we got to get Orange Man bad. We've got to get him out.
And I think that just goes to what the FBI is doing and what Durham's doing. And that goes straight to drain the swamp. If I was a swamp creature and someone said drain the swamp, I might do whatever it took to preserve myself as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's why I think it's stunning how many people came out, including Brennan, who I think is really dirty, and wrote that letter saying, we believe, based on this story about the laptop and the emails, this looks like a Russian disinformation campaign.
Yeah, and we admit that we don't have any evidence of that, and that, but we believe that it looks like a typical Well, first of all, no, it doesn't. It doesn't look like a typical Russian disinformation campaign at all. So,
yes, and that is what's so frustrating is that I honestly think they know full well what's going on here. They had a compromised candidate, and they knew this before the primary. And I honestly believe there must have been enough people that could go down with Joe Biden that they thought at least if he's running, they can't attack him as much because he's a candidate. I don't know. Tim Pool I was listening to his podcast this morning, and he was discussing how he almost feels like it put a spotlight on him, versus...
It did. Yeah, I saw him tweet that the worst thing that Joe Biden could have done for his son and himself was run for president. However, this is the self-preservation part of it. They have to have someone in the White House that is willing, forget capable, because the swamp creatures in the intelligence units are capable of doing it. They need someone who is willing to bury all of this.
Oh, God, yeah. And don't you think they thought it was buried?
Do what?
I'm wondering if they already thought that the laptop story was, that they didn't need to worry about it. I'm just so curious.
Yeah, well, but go all the way back to pre-Ukraine. Everything that Durham has been digging up, everything that they've done for the last 30 years... is floating to the surface, and they need someone in the White House with the pen and the phone that will bury it. Anybody could bury it, but they need someone who will bury it. And none of the other candidates they could trust to do it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. At least I think they know that Biden is crooked enough and dirty enough. They have enough stuff on him and his family, it sounds like.
Well, and he has a vested interest. He was involved in all of it.
Totally.
So much of it.
And think he is... This is what is so frustrating. Their attack on Trump from the beginning, from the get-go, was that he's compromised. He's a national security risk because of what has gone on in his past as a businessman, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And then we get all this information, which they're not even saying is false.
No.
We're finding out about all of the kickbacks Biden has had. And there's a strong possibility that there's also his son having a porn, underage sex, all this other crap that is alleged by Rudy Giuliani and others who have seen the hard drives. All of this is saying, whoa. This is bad.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, it's just your usual graft and corruption until it drills down to that. But there may have been child porn on it. And this keeps coming up with that same set of leaders, that same triangle of people. And,
yes.
And everyone in it. It keeps coming up with those people. And I haven't seen, one thing that school did to me was change kind of how I look at stuff like that. So I haven't seen the hard drive, and I am not saying there's definitely stuff on there, but it's a big question mark. It's a huge question mark. All those trips on Epstein's plane with Bill Clinton, it's a huge question mark. And this shit keeps coming up with these people, with this same group of people that are locked together like Legos.
Right.
I just can't, I can't wrap my head around. This is where I can't wrap my head around how we got here to that. How did we get to the place where we have people like that leading us for 30 years?
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I do not understand the whole, I don't get the whole pedophile, child porn, all that kind of stuff. I don't get how these people who, Hunter Biden could have sex with whoever he wants, adult wife.
Right.
He's a good-looking guy. He's wealthy. He comes from an affluent family, lots of power.
Yeah.
He was all over the place. He could be sleeping with good-looking women who he didn't need to pay for. That was what Trump always was saying. Like, I don't need to pay for any of that. I got women throwing themselves at me. That was always kind of his crude response to stuff like that. I don't know. It's really crazy. And so for you guys that are out there that have not seen this, Lou and I have been talking about it, but one of the things that brought up the whole child porn thing is when they did the subpoena for the grand jury, when they came back to go get the laptop, and I'm sure you guys have all heard the story now about the computer guy, and he was going to fix it, and he had it, and Hunter Biden just didn't show up and get it, so it became his possession. But so when he contacted the FBI, and when they came back to get it, it's the guy that signed it that is very suspicious, because this guy is like a sex crimes unit, right?
Yeah, well, yes, that's the reporting. And again, I haven't looked him up myself to see who he is.
Yeah, Joe Wilson. I think it's Wilson
really,
is the last name.
Yeah, it's really easy to track down who those people work for, because they sign lots of affidavits and warrants and do press conferences like the one we saw tonight, and so they're on record on what kind of crimes they prosecute.
Yes.
They investigate
and
and prosecute.
I think it was Business Insider that first brought up the fact that this guy's name has come up in different cases, and it's the same signature of the guy that works when there's child pornography, when it's a sex crime. So that's why it was like, whoa, what is he doing signing the subpoena? So that's where all of this came up of, besides the rumors that had been out there for a while. That's where, the actual legit why we're talking about this tonight. And it's why we're saying, boy, this is really suspicious and we need to look into this.
Yeah, so like I said, they went to, so the contract said that his contract was to recover the memory on the hard drive and move it to his servers. Once he looked at it, he was concerned enough about it that he was somewhat frantic, right? So a lot of people have been talking about, why was he so frantic to get in touch with the FBI? Well, that's a good question. Because if it had just been Hunter's emails, maybe he wouldn't have been that frantic. So that's another question mark. He was pretty frantic. But at that point, whatever was on the hard drive, he had on his server, on his company's server. So, that makes you think. So then the FBI comes in and takes a forensic image of it. They take it back and examine it and find what's on it. And that's when they get the grand jury subpoena.
Yes.
Now, so at that point, they have to take the information, the evidence of a crime, to the jury and say, we have evidence of a crime. And the jury has to agree that that laptop should be seized. If you go to the trouble to go through these particular steps, it's a product. And if you go to a grand jury, there's an investigation at that point.
Exactly. And Lou, you and I both know that every journalist that works for major newspapers out there knows this.
Yeah, absolutely. They know that. They knew that from the moment they heard grand jury subpoena.
Yes. And that's why this is absolute BS. So the New York Post gets this information. They run with the story. And Twitter basically shuts them up. Facebook shuts them up. And they're trying to claim that it's not election interference. What else could it possibly be?
For the media and Twitter and Facebook, it's definitely censorship. And I think you could make a case for election interference. I mean, why else bury a story about a candidate at that point?
Right.
The emails expose Joe Biden's corruption and complicity with the money scheme. With this, I mean, Rudy Giuliani calls his family bagmen for him. The emails talk about him getting 10% and 50%, and so I mean, that. So yeah, I mean, burying a story like that, and if printing a story is election interference, then burying the story has to be election interference, right?
Oh God, yes.
So yes, I think there's a case to be made for that, for sure.
So I suspect, and it sounds like there's going to be another drop, information coming from these hard drives before the debate. What is your bets? We should ask everybody in the chat. What are your bets? What do you think? Is the debate going to happen? I'm very curious what people think. If there's another drop and it actually shows a text message between, right now we have a text message that shows Hunter Biden talking to his dad. We don't see the response. If they actually show a back and forth where Joe Biden was aware of a crime, I'm curious if you think Joe's going to show up or if he's going to, I don't know, get COVID.
Yeah, a morning drop tomorrow would not surprise me at all. But I don't think that he's not going to do the debate. Right. So we've talked about how their desperation is a product of needing, not just wanting, but needing to bury these investigations. They have to, right? Because any of them could go to jail, careers over,
yes,
money pipelines shut down, all of that, right? So they have to. So they have to keep pushing this candidate down the road to the election and hope that people hate Trump enough. Yeah, Wardy doesn't think that Biden will show if there's another drop. An important drop.
I think they have him responding to Hunter's text. Giuliani didn't show it. And I think they have that.
Yeah, there's more.
I think the Biden campaign is sitting there right now going, what is on that laptop?
Oh, yeah, they've asked Joe 6 ways from Sunday what's on. So if you notice when he called the lid when the text messages came into the public domain. That was when he called. Yes. That was when he called his 4-day lid. When those started coming out. So, yeah, I mean, I really think that they are so invested in having to push this candidate down the road. But what I learned last night, because you guys were asking about it, was if Biden can't fulfill his candidacy, something happens to him. And of course, the protocols all say if they die, but, they could call him incapacitated at any moment, right? So,
right.
If that happens, then basically the leadership of Congress, the DNC council, I think there's 200 and something of them, get together and vote on who will be the candidate. They could choose. Yeah. They could choose anybody. Like, it should be Bernie because he came in second, but it won't be. It'll be Hillary.
Well, so let's talk about that. So Lou found they've already bought up the domain of
Clinton Harris 2020 was purchased in August of this year.
Yeah, how interesting. But again, we would need to do, I don't know if it's even possible to find out who exactly bought it.
And Russia, that could be Russia or Iran or disinformation or something like that. But it was purchased in August of this year. So
Yeah. And again today, Kamala Harris's husband, again today, said something about his wife being president. It is very interesting that that's been a screw up. Have you ever seen it? Have you ever heard of Biden or Pence or any candidate ever screwing that up as much as they have in this election?
No, I haven't. But I also haven't seen such a horrible campaign ever in my life. I've never seen such a screwed up.
Okay, so I guess we'll need to take a break. But when we come back, I love to hear people's ideas in the chat too. I can't even imagine a campaign that has ever been run just as badly as this campaign. I mean, they both aren't going anywhere, and Biden has pretty much taken off most of September and most of October, which is unheard of. But supposedly he's up 11 points. So I don't know. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll just get your ideas in the chat room and we'll run with it.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Get up, get your man about the red wine. Get up, get your man about the red wine. I can't get up.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and... she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
I said, get up, get your man a bucket of red wine. No, get up, get your man a bucket of red wine.
All right, we are back, and we are looking in our chat room at what everybody has to say here. Some people are asking, is it even possible if Biden dropped out tomorrow because of this, could Kamala even move to the top of the ticket?
If the DNC and their little council of all the leaders, it's the leadership from Congress, it's all the Democrat governors, it's a bunch of people. If they vote for her to be at the top of the ticket, she'll be at the top of the ticket. It's whoever they vote for. They can pick Hillary. Right. They could pick Barack Obama.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
I suspect they would put in the most radical leftist person they would want, and it wouldn't be Clinton. It would be, one of their...
it won't be Tulsi.
Like Eric Holder, it'll be somebody.
They could pick. They could totally pick
Susan
Eric
Rice.
Holder. They could pick Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, I think this is all at this point, I think it's the behind the scenes Obama people running things, and I don't think they're Pelosi or Clinton fans. I think it would be a Marxist. Well, hell, you'd probably end up with Stacey Abrams.
Well, yeah, it could be Abrams, it could be AOC, it could be any number of people. Yeah, it could be it will be whoever the hell they want it to be, but they'll probably fight about it.
It is curious that Nancy Pelosi, out of the blue, all of a sudden started talking about the 25th Amendment last week.
Yeah, I mean it is, but it's not.
Yeah, they're just. Come on, this is just the craziest election ever. I don't know. It's just nuts.
Well, it's
nuts.
It's insane that they talk about, Trump is the one that stokes division and chaos, and I don't get that at all.
Yeah, I don't either. Okay, so this goes to something that Hammy and I were talking about. And Hammy was going to be on tonight, you guys, and I'm sorry he's not. He actually had a family emergency pop up. So sorry for all you people out there that were hoping you'd turn in and hear Hammy. So he was, he and I were saying, basically the press is the fifth rail, right? It's supposed to be the checks and balances of making sure that we are getting the information we need, so we know that, oh my gosh, we need to be outraged, or we need to be, it's just supposed to be the facts. And instead they're just DNC cheerleaders. And I think we can see here, it's so dangerous. It's like living in China or Russia. We have...
Yeah, it is. It's very disturbing, and you're right. It's very dangerous that they're no more independent and neutral than they are. And I mean, it's really disturbing. It's really scary. It's very state media, except that it's right now it's like coup media, because they're because they're very pro-democrat, they're pro-socialist, right? And I mean, just the fact that they cheerlead for Antifa, the people that how must the people who have had their stores looted and burned or been beaten in the street, and God knows the law enforcement that have been beaten in the street, hit in the head with baseball bats and crap like that by Antifa, think when they see an article, and I think it was ABC, that said, they're just normal middle class kids from the suburbs that got caught up in, I'm sorry, what? I know. And you were great. You you posted the picture of the Weather Underground. Right. They were upper middle class suburban kids. Grew up with money. They were privileged kids, especially Dorn. Privileged kids. And they were bombers. They killed police officers. They were murderers. I mean, if you look at all the police officers that they injured, or killed, or targeted, it's a long list.
Yeah, and they're professors now. They bomb the Capitol building. If you are powerful, if you have money in the world, you might get punished, but you'll only be punished for a short period of time, and then you can get hired by any university in the United States.
Well,
and teach our youth.
And not to go full McCarthy or anything, but this is going to sound like full McCarthy, but they were part of, and I mean, they don't really even deny it, but they were part of a communist infiltration that happened in this country in the 60s, and they've been allowed, because of people like Bill Clinton, they've been allowed to perpetuate that. And others have been allowed to perpetuate that and grow it. And we never got rid of it. We never rooted it out, because they did the same thing with McCarthy that they did with Trump. Anything that he was right about got buried by the stupid things that they did and the stupid things that they said. So they never rooted that out.
Right. And they've been brilliant. Let's face it, the left has been brilliant. And I watched a video back when Obama was running. Somebody put it together. I don't remember who did it. It talked about his life as a kid, and then when he went to school at Occidental, and then just how he somehow was just taken under the wing by these very Marxist individuals, and it just kind of led to his whole political career. But what was fascinating about that is how long-term game these guys were. They knew they had to infiltrate schools. They knew they had to get involved with our youth in the school system and slowly change the education curriculum, get as many people as possible in higher level positions. They've done the same with in our FBI and our CIA and in our IRS. And they are doing it now with Soros paying for all these campaigns across the United States for DAs and attorney generals and sheriffs and local police, all of those things.
Right. And that was a matter.
It's smart.
Right. That was a matter of figuring out that they couldn't recruit unlimited soldiers, so they had to make sure that their soldiers were just like processed through the system, released immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually brilliant. It's truly brilliant. But it's kind of like what you and I talked, a couple weeks ago on the Smarmy Lawyers. They have a playbook, and they're definitely disciplined enough that they're following it. And it's frightening. It's terrifying, because I think you have these dumb kids who are so easily played. So all you have to do is throw out racism or LGBT stuff, and you've got them hooked, and they don't realize what they're signing up for.
Or they think that what they're signing up for is just and right, and
Yes, yeah, that's just it. Yeah, they think their cause is just because they're all for equal opportunity. I mean, all kids want equal rights and they want fairness, because it's just how 20-somethings are. They all want this justice and fairness and equal opportunity. What they don't realize is they're just being played. Biden was in office for 47 years. He never did anything to help with justice or fairness. I had some lady arguing with me this week about the crime bill and saying, "Oh, you don't understand," like arguing his point, obviously DNC talking points. And my response back was, well, then why didn't he fix it when he was there for 8 years? He was the vice president for 8 years. If he realized that it needed to be corrected, why didn't he do it? Crickets.
Well, he wrote it, or so he said. And he bragged.
Oh, yeah, he bragged about that.
He bragged about the fact that he wrote it. So if he wrote it wrong, then he certainly should have fixed it. And, I mean, when someone talks about racial jungles, I think they're pretty much set in what they're trying to accomplish.
Oh, yeah, super predators, yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you guys haven't seen the guy running against AOC, he had a video that he did, because he was really upset with P. Diddy about him supporting Biden, and seeing the videos or the pictures of Joe Biden's own son with whether that's a crack pipe or a meth pipe, well, that's a debate out there, believe it or not. And so clearly it's drugs, and he has a crack cocaine problem. Yet there's video clip of Biden going off about crack cocaine and how people shouldn't have second chances. They should be locked up. And yet his own son, he's given a pass to. So that crime, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how people aren't more upset about that.
Yeah, I think it's hard to get. You think that everybody would be upset about it, but at this point, the reason that we've talked about this before, everything that they say is just feels like pure projection. And when they started calling Trump followers a cult, at that point you knew that they know that they're a cult.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Because anyone who can watch the way he fondles children and not be creeped out by that is a member of a cult.
So if you guys go to APL Mom, that's my Twitter, I posted today. Of course, you can't just retweet anyone now. You have to quote tweet them because of Twitter's new rule. So there, if you look on my page, there's a video, and I think I say this is pretty creepy. And it's a montage of somebody on YouTube going through all of the pictures and all of the video of Biden touching children in these photo ops. It is, oh my Lord, it's just painful to see. It's just so creepy and disgusting.
Yeah, it is. But it is a very long montage of him fondling children.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like,
yeah.
And I love the guys, he keeps saying, but I guess this is normal. Or, I guess this is okay.
This is completely normal.
Yeah, because if you bring it up, they just say, but Trump is accused of raping 25 women or whatever. And you're like, okay, that's just a rumor, and there's no pictures, there's no video footage. That's just out there, and it's and people say that, but there's no proof to that.
Yeah,
here are actual pictures.
Right, exactly. It'd be really easy for me to just say, yeah, Barack Obama raped me. It's not true, but I said it.
I think it's in USA Today.
Yeah. And these are all...
Did you see that?
The really interesting thing about Trump's, and you brought this up to her, about the accusations toward Trump, and this is how I evaluate everything. There's civil suits. There was no police report. No. Yep. There was no police report filed. There was no, charge him. There was no. One of them supposedly happened in the dressing room at Saks or Macy's or somewhere.
Right.
And there
That's
was
the
no
woman that wrote the article.
Get the video. Yeah, there was no get the video from outside the dressing room or from the store or anything like that because she didn't file it with the police. It was like years later, and by the way, he raped me once, and I'm going to file a civil suit and ask for $1 billion.
Well, and there was another one that just came out about a woman who had accompanied her boyfriend, and they'd been in the box watching some game, and then she later went to Trump Tower. You see picture after picture after picture, and she is smiling, and she is willingly standing beside him with her arm around him.
Right.
Women that are assaulted are on the other side of the room from the person that creeped them out and touched them inappropriately.
Yeah.
They are not posing with them and smiling.
Nope.
Yeah. It's just nonsense. But that is, so in a nutshell, what we have is Hunter Biden's emails are creepy and disgusting, and we know it's not disinformation. They actually are his emails. We don't know the full extent of what's on there. People who have seen it have said there is child pornography and him inappropriately, him in the pictures, him in video, or him in pictures, I'm not sure, but him being inappropriate with underage girls. What we do not have is anything at all on Trump. But the media was completely fine running with the Stormy Daniels story and every other story day in, day out. That's crickets on this one.
Yeah. What I wish people would be talking about more instead of the laptop and stuff like that is Biden's gun policy, his tax policy.
Oh yeah.
His the Green New Deal or whatever.
Oh yeah,
framework.
Yeah. How fracking, how it'll destroy Pennsylvania and Colorado.
Right, exactly, and several other states as well.
So that's my hope that Trump does. I hope Trump does not go full email Hunter Biden on Thursday night.
No,
I think
he should mention it and move on to all the other things.
Yes, because it's not going to turn the dial when it comes to Biden supporters. And he needs to convince people on the fence. And he's not going to do it if he just goes full crazy. I had somebody tell me tonight that Trump was actually polling better in Colorado until the first debate, and then his polling tanked in Colorado. And now Cory Gardner's behind I don't know if I believe all that, but that's what I was told.
Yeah,
tonight.
there were not that many undecided voters in the national polls that I really believe that either. I said this somewhere, but I don't think that I've said it on air. When I lived in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, there was a group there that did political polls called and did the interviews. They got busted by the Attorney General for filling out the questionnaires and not calling anyone.
Yeah, I believe that.
Filling them
totally
out themselves. So never trust a poll. Ever.
Yeah, I just think, and I hope, that between Antifa burning down cities and the lockdowns that are absolutely ridiculous and people losing jobs, etc., I really hope people are angry enough to go to the polls and I hope Trump wins, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right, well, Lou, are you going to be watching the debate tomorrow night?
Yep, I'll watch it. Probably with the scowl on my face most of the time.
I know.
Interested to see how this moderator turns out. 'Cause she's got a lot of pressure on her to be fair.
She does. Yeah. She does. I hope Trump does not come off as aggressive to her. I really hope he doesn't, because this is his one last shot.
Well, if there's one thing that he understands, if this makes you feel better, if there's one thing he understands, it's marketing. And
that's true.
If his polls if he really dropped in the polls after the last debate, he's going to be completely different in this one.
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope he has the discipline to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, well, tell everybody where they can find you.
They can find me Monday night at 10 o'clock with Orty. That's it.
Right here on KLRN.
Right here.
And you can find me on Twitter at APLMom. And again, here Wednesday nights. Hopefully Diane will be back next Wednesday. She's doing her hometown stuff. She's on a board and she's been so busy. So Diane, we miss you. I know you're going to listen to this tomorrow. So we miss you and we can't wait for you to be back next week.
Love you, Di.
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful night. We will catch you next Wednesday. And hopefully by then, maybe we'll have even more stuff to report on this laptop.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we will. I believe there will probably be a drop in the morning, like you said. Thanks for
I think so too.
Yep. Good night, everyone.
Good night.